Happy Tuesday, and welcome to the Ram Ashram Satsang practice session, where you'll learn a modern Satsang method for obtaining peace, light, and love in your life. My name is Eddie, and I will be introducing the facilitator for today's event. But first, I'd like to give you a brief introduction to this practice session. If you'll direct your attention towards your screen, you'll see the first element is Satsang. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain peace, light, and love in our life. It requires no physical skill, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin its practice. Satsang consists of two words, Sat and Sang. Sat means positive energy, and Sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Therefore, the word Satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element is meditation. Meditation is an important part of Satsang. When we meditate, we withdraw consciousness from worldly objects and direct it inwards to focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure, thereby allowing us to obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. Inner orientation. There are two types of Satsang, inner Satsang and outer Satsang. An example of outer Satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. When we practice outer Satsang, we have the potential to change our behavior, but only through the practice of inner Satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The Satsang that you will learn today is an inner Satsang where we meditate in silence. Group session. These practice sessions are structured for group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is improved and our personal progress along our spiritual path is expedited. By regularly attending these practice sessions, the benefits of group participation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. All beings wish to experience joy. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul. But only through the practice of inner Satsang can we obtain a joyous state. Each time we practice Satsang, our inner happiness gradually increases, ultimately culminating in a state of joy, which we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The agenda for today consists of 3 sessions: the informative session, the practice session, and the interactive session. During the informative session, a lecture will be given about a Satsang topic, the founder, or some relevant spiritual topic. During the practice session, you'll receive instructions on how to meditate, followed by a period of practice. During the interactive session, you have the opportunity to ask questions, or there'll be a panel discussion. And now, I'd like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of Satsang experience. He's the grandson of Guru Maharaj, the founder of Ram Ashram Satsang. He was born into a Satsang family where he experienced his family members obtain states of enlightenment and lead lives of peace, light, and love. At an early age, he began traveling with the mission throughout India, facilitating satsangs. And during that time, he witnessed the positive effects that satsang could have on mankind. And upon arriving to the United States, both he and his wife continued to facilitate satsangs for local satsangees. He has led teams of satsang members in translating important satsang literature into English and has worked tirelessly to make satsang more accessible to Western and English-speaking audiences. He currently travels throughout the United States, India, and England facilitating satsangs while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us a rare and ancient form of satsang as taught by Guru Maharaj. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjeev Kumarji.
And happy Tuesday, everyone. Glad we are here. I have been thinking about how to describe what satsang is. Always very grateful to Eddie. The overview kind of talks about the highlights of what makes up satsang. I mean, the definition itself is to be with transcendental energy. But the key here is that for everyone, how do you connect to transcendental energy could be a very individual thing. You could, whatever source of this transcendental energy you believe in, but in its real conscious form, if you feel the presence, you feel the connection, you imbibe that energy during the meditation, then the real satsang happens. Now, so it's very open and flexible on one end, but it's very unique. Another thing, and this is probably for the volunteers and people who have been here, I think calling this guided meditation kind of makes it a little more, on the internet and YouTube, etc. I find guided meditation is more to do with meditation during which you are being talked to or instructed. So satsang has always been guided. So that's also true. But inner satsang is more of a, inner connection to this transcendental energy, and the guidance up front just kind of tells you, and we'll go through that before we meditate. So all sessions start with that guidance, but it's not the typical guided meditation that we see, what's in vogue, so to say. The more I think about what satsang is, there are so many unique pieces that have come together. And my grandfather, who started or packaged this and started it in 1930, and since then it has gone through some transformations too. And now we have changed the prayer into music. So some of those nuances, but at the end of the day, it's how you orient, how you connect to transcendental energy, how you imbibe that, how you manifest it in ways that it starts an inner transformation. So anyway, on that note, let's get into it, and then we can talk a little more after the practice. So basically, the key elements of this, inward orientation, as Eddie was describing, satsang can be an outer satsang or inner satsang. This is very inward oriented. So inward orientation is one key aspect. And then concentration, or what do we concentrate on? What do we want to manifest? And that's transcendental energy. So these are 2 of the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. And I call these 4 spiritual aspects of Ashtanga Yoga as inner yoga or satsang. So you start with inward orientation and concentration, and I'll tell you exactly how we do that. And when you, take those 2 steps, chances are you get into deeper meditation, and that leads to higher consciousness. So that's, so how do we do it? Basically, For inward orientation, two things are important. One, still posture, because every time you move your body, your mind moves. You want to stay focused inwards. You want to have a still and relaxed posture. So that's important. Eyes lightly closed for the same reason. So we want to focus inwards, and then we want to manifest this transcendental energy in form of light. So feel the presence, feel that it's right here, right now with us. And this energy in form of light is entering our heart, enlightening our heart, and distributing throughout our body. And we are getting completely and totally immersed in this light. So mind will wander away, as it usually does, which is natural. So again, inward orientation. So every time you realize your mind has wandered away, bring it back to this thought, and this thought alone, that this transcendental energy in form of light is right here in front of us, entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and that we are getting totally immersed. Basically, we are becoming the energy. So, and we will start with music that helps the manifestation, the concentration. And then the music fades away and we meditate deep silence. And that helps it go deeper. And then we transition out with music again. And deeper meditation, essentially, if you build a strong, consistent practice integrated into your lifestyle, higher consciousness or higher awareness is just resulting phenomena that you would be able to see pretty quickly. So again, I'll repeat. So still and relaxed posture so that the body doesn't move while we meditate, and eyes lightly closed. And then think of this divine light in front of us that's entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are becoming immersed, totally immersed in that light. If mind wanders away, bring it back. We'll start with music, then music fades away. We meditate in deep silence, and then we transition out with music again. Let's start now. A happy Tuesday, everyone. Glad you could join us. And, you know, one of the key aspects of satsang is the group session, and the energy, the collective energy here is definitely very far more charged than individual sessions. So it ought to be part of building individual practice. The group sessions have to be integrated into it. So hi, Steve, Valerie, Jade. Comments, questions? How are you doing? Jeff, Theru. I think it was a good session that I definitely needed. And Warren, I see you. So good to see you back here.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
And how are you?
It's good to be back. Good.
Yeah, definitely glad to have you back here.
Thank you.
Steve, how are you?
Yeah, well, I've been quite busy, so I missed the early part of the session here. I came in when the meditation had begun, so I was expecting to be running around, but I thought I would try to at least see some faces tonight. So,
no, I'm glad that you could join.
So,
I think I was reading. There was this book on 8-minute meditation. It said, even if you couldn't meditate for the 7 minutes, you don't give up. The last minute give you everything that you need. And I find even 30 seconds of good meditation, it just phenomenal.
I started reading this book, 1001 Pearls of Yoga Wisdom, and I was just in the bookstore looking and read through the introduction, and it talked about the 8-limb path and things that I just wanted to understand better. So I've been trying to delve into that when I have a few moments, and it's been very informative. So there's so much to learn, and
there's so much to learn. I mean, there is like thousands of years of research, and then implementation, and then then comes the variations. Like one finds this better versus that. And my grandfather used to say that we all have personalities, we have our likes and dislikes, and so does so that ought to affect the paths we take to the goal. So he always felt that the goal is fairly standard, in the sense you call it self-realization, you call it yoga, you call it satsang, you call it ocean of peace, whatever, love, light, and peace. But to get there, based on where you are, what you like, what your personality is, and even sometimes I feel that before you got here, there is a journey that has already happened. So it's so that also has something to do with it, in terms of you need to see what would now take you there. from here. And this whole 8 limbs of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, I think that is a fairly, I would say, one of the most comprehensive like models, which would describe like n number of other variations within. So, if you take this model, you could understand, like what is Raj Yoga, what is Bhakti Yoga, what is Karma Yoga, what is Buddhi Yoga, because this gives you that framework through which you could understand, okay, if you come top down in this, it becomes Buddhi Yoga or Gyan Yoga, or, if you're bottom up, it's Karma Yoga or Hatha Yoga. If you start in the middle, then it's Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, or Upasana Yoga. And my grandfather kind of felt that, the middle ground where you first tackle your mind makes more sense than the other two, because in the one that is completely bottom up, he says takes much longer. It's much more like there's more work to do, longer path. And the Vedanta or the Gyan Yoga, where, it's a top-down approach, he says, it's like if you were so accomplished already, then you probably don't need some of this anyway. So for the normal person, I think the middle ground is probably based on devotion, based on mind, control, or bringing your mind to a concentrated state. And a concentrated mind then would help your behavior, your decisions, your, like quote unquote, the state of mind. And once that is in place, the rest should fall in place anyway. But yeah, once you go through the book, let's exchange some notes.
Okay, there's a lot for me to process, so I'm reading and rereading a lot.
Yeah, a lot of times. So, I was born in this Satsang family. My grandfather, then my uncles, my parents, all were into this. So, a lot of times I read books and I'm like, it seems like I've already read all this, because my grandfather wrote like, so many books. But he kind of distilled a lot of different practices into, his approach, which is, again, I think more middle of the road, more flexible, take what makes sense, or take what is more effective or more efficient. And then, another thing I was thinking, it's like, the guided aspect of meditation is like, for everything in your life, you need some guidance here and there. Meditation is definitely one of those. And in my entire journey, I got guidance in so many ways that I can't even start describing. and for free. So it was just, a very, very different approach and culture. So, Valerie, what's on your mind? How are you? Oh, you'll have to unmute. Sorry. Can't hear you. You'll have to unmute, Valerie. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
I'm doing wonderfully. It's very nice to be here. I'm
Same here.
hoping that Tuesday evenings will continue to work for me. I'm trying very hard to fit this in, but it's very nice to be here. I studied in a Buddhist temple for a while, and I enjoyed meditating so much. And then during the pandemic, it was a hard time for all of us, but I was very ill during the pandemic, not with COVID, but from not getting medical care, not having access to medical care. And I wasn't able to meditate for quite some time. And I'm still not where I want to be, where I used to be. So I was happy to find you on Eventbrite so that I could possibly start in again with some help. So it's very nice to be here.
I mean, you are part of the Satsang family now. So whenever you want to be here, we'll all be very glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And see, interestingly, I'm in IT, and for some reason I got inspired, and my grandfather and some of his disciples, they would travel to far, deep into the villages in northern India and throughout India. And, around 2005-ish, I started online, and I said, I'm sitting here in Oakton, Virginia. How do I connect to people in India? So this is my way of doing it. And people were like, oh, Sanjeev, what has this, computers and this video conferencing and all of that to do with meditation? And I said, to me, meditation is always about connection. It's always about more like a collective energy coming together with a purpose, with and uplifting each one of us at the same time. And that process to me is meditation. So I said, to me, it doesn't matter how you achieve it. So there are multiple methods. And if I can connect via these, newer devices, why not? And so what happened was, during the pandemic in India, situation was pretty bad, and
yes, it was.
And people could not travel, could not go to. So there are like these weekly, and throughout India, like big cities have these retreats, which are like 3-day long, 5 sessions, morning, evening. And all of that stopped. And so what happened was suddenly where we used to have like a couple of hundred people online became a few thousand people online. And they were like, believe it or not, you know, in India, like sometimes there are joint families, there are bigger families living together, 10 people, 20 people within the family, just joining morning and evening daily throughout the pandemic. And I felt, you know, it was just, you know, a blessing somehow throughout that such a upheaval and such a, you know, trying time, the ability for people at home to connect to this positive energy day in and day out, morning and evening, was just phenomenal. So yeah, sometimes, you know, and a lot of people told me so many different things, and I just said, like, I'm inspired. I just want to do this for myself and others. And lo and behold, it just turned out to be, you know, something that was worthwhile. So yeah, glad to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Sure. And Warren, who also has been battling with a lot of different health issues. So I'm always glad when he is here. So very happy. And so Eddie, what's the, and Taru, good to see you here again. You know,
Yeah, I guess we can end with some words of encouragement, and that is, this is a simplified system of satsang, so we call it a new system of yoga given to us by Guru Maharaj.
Mhm.
And I think one of the first things that people have to tackle and overcome is the overcoming of these distracting thoughts and being able to focus on the single thought of the light entering the heart and so forth. And that's the first step. And the way you become victorious in that struggle is just to keep practicing. And moreover, once you do accomplish that, then there's also the same internal struggle that you'll face, and concentrating on the light, because there'll be some sort of internal struggles as your mind starts to cleanse itself. And then that's when you really start to experience the great benefits that this system has in store for you. So that peace of mind that we talked about, you know, in the introduction, is that when our minds become pure, then we can reach these higher states of consciousness, and that's when that occurs. So
Right.
by here every week, yes. So by coming here every week, you're actively participating in you achieving that ultimate goal of reaching those high states of enlightenment. So we look forward to seeing you here every week, and just keep in mind that through practice, you will become successful. You know, don't give up. Just keep, you know, just keep at it, and you'll get there.
Thank you very much. I've achieved those higher states of consciousness before. There is nothing better than that in the whole world, and I'm wanting more of it. So I'm trying to get back to where I was and better at it. So thank you.
absolutely. No, and that is another reason why I always, you know, irrespective of, you know, the hurdles and the distances and all the other things, I feel just keeping at it, because in this practice, I have seen people achieve states which are very, very uncommon. And I've, you know, I don't need to be told because I've seen that myself. So it's something, and again, as I think Eddie is saying, that the internal demons and outer hurdles are always there, but fighting it out has its own benefits, and you will achieve those higher states of consciousness just if you keep at it.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
What is the longest that you've been able to meditate without stopping?
So, I'll go back to a letter that my grandfather's guru got in 1927. And somebody was saying, oh, I am not able to focus. I'm not able to meditate. What should I, my mind keeps running, and it's very hard for me to meditate. So he answered that, one, when I sit with you all, so, that helps me to meditate. But then he said that once I cross 30 minutes, after that, my meditation is far deeper, so during his time, or like early 1900s, people used to sit for 2 hours and more. But my grandfather later on said that we don't have the strength and the time, generally speaking. So he said that this particular form that we are practicing now is very potent and very efficient, in the sense that 15 minutes to 30 minutes is more than sufficient if you want to increase the frequency rather than the so he would say that this particular practice that we just did, at most you can go up to 45 minutes. After that, there are some, because meditation brings in heat, et cetera, et cetera. So there are multiple reasons why you would not take this one specifically. There are other practices which are action-oriented, which can be done for much longer. This is a very, it's almost like a mental exercise, right? And so you would rather do it, like, say, instead of once a day, twice a day, or instead of a couple of times a week, every day in the week. I know personally people who do 5 times a day, for example. But for me, and I'll be just, it's like, I personally believe that 30 seconds of deep connection just gives you enough energy to run your engine for a while. So it is more about quality than quantity. And, so my grandfather used to say that 23 hours, do whatever you like. 1 hour, give it to me. Or in his ways, what he's saying is give it to yourself, to this practice. For that hour, forget about the world, because that is important. When you leave the worldly things and hence those thoughts and the very, the barrage, and you get into deeper meditation, I think his prescription was half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. But to me, another thing that I think Eddie up front talked about was the group sessions. Group sessions have been my lifeline. And what I find is that effortlessly you get into deeper states in a group session, like relative to individual sessions. So I hope I answered.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Very well. So, yeah, Onkar, Shivangi, anything you want to add? Jeff, how are you doing?
Very peaceful.
Very peaceful.
And I know that my father had been yelling and ruining our first meditation. That's why my father ruined our meditation. The worst way to ruin our meditation. But I was still quiet and peaceful and sleeping while meditation.
Cool.
Even though my mother lost her focus.
So, Onkar, how's everything? What's on your mind?
Yes, listening is also good. Listening, everyone. So,
yeah, listening is an art, which very few of us have. So, yeah. Uh-oh. All right, then. So have a great week ahead, and we're glad to be here. See you all soon.
Thank you very much.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Sanjay.